This training is for monitoring archaeological sites for state park employees. It's going to cover site assignment forms and baseline information, photography, assessing impact levels, how to complete a monitoring report, and submitting reports. Monitoring is revisiting a cultural site to determine if any changes have occurred. Changes include both human and natural, positive and negative. Monitoring does not count unless it is documented. It has to be documented with a monitoring report and, if needed, photos, coordinates from a GPS, and the photo log. What you're going to be provided in order to determine if a change has occurred is a baseline record. This record, pictured here, provides general information, the location with coordinates, written directions, and possibly maps, a description of the site, the types of artifacts that were present, the condition at the time that the baseline recording occurred, and the approximate site dimensions of the site. It may also include photographs, which is very useful. Now, this information is provided to you in confidentiality. Information shared about non-interpreted sites must remain confidential. This includes any observations you make and photos you take of the sites. When providing stewardship information and collecting records, you can tell the public, hey, we participate in this site stewardship program. It's really awesome. It helps us protect our sites. But you can't talk about specific sites, and you cannot share information that state parks only shared with you. What you're going to do is you're going to go out on a site visit. Before you go out, you need to be prepared. You're going to review the baseline report, including any photographs and maps. You're going to put coordinates into your GPS before you leave so that you can relocate everything that you are supposed to monitor. You're going to notify your supervisor of your trip so people know where you are and when to expect you back. And you're going to pack some essentials: the baseline report so you know what you're looking for, a GPS with the coordinates so you can find everything, a camera so you can take photographs, and a paper and pen so you can take notes. And always follow your PPE requirements. Make sure you are safe, that you are prepared for the elements, and that you have followed proper safety procedures. When you get to your site for the first time, become familiar with the different features, artifacts, and surroundings. Examine your maps. Do they make sense to you? Take lots of notes and photographs. There are different types of photographs that you need to take when you're at your site. Overview photographs, which show features or the site in relationship to the landscape. Feature photos, which are bigger photos of objects, rock panels, structures like in this photograph. And artifact photos, which are close-up photos of an actual artifact. The important thing to remember is that these photos are going to tell the story of the site over time. In these two photographs, you can't really tell the difference between them. Has anything changed at the site? Is the structure still intact? You just can't tell. However, when you take a photo from generally the same point every time you visit, you'll be able to tell the change in the site over time. The next thing you need to do is also be able to describe the change. And from these two photos, we can't really describe what happened because we only have a photo of the front of the structure. We don't have photos going all the way around the building because if we did, we would be able to see, are the stones removed? Did somebody dismantle it? Are all the stones knocked down inside? Is that a tree that fell over? And information like that. Photographing artifacts, it's best to use a scale, and if you don't have a scale like this card in the picture, you can also use a quarter or anything you have handy so that we understand the size of the object that you're taking a picture of. And you want to take photos of not just the artifacts and features at the site, but the signs, the road conditions, general damage, visitor activity as in new footpaths or off-road vehicles being where they shouldn't, and the different wildlife and flora. If you look at this photo on the bottom left, you can see all of the boulders in the grass. But then in early spring, the landscape changes. So sometimes we can visit a site, relocate everything, and then we go out the next time, and because of vegetation, we can't relocate everything. So it's best to show that in your photographs. I've talked about taking photographs, but we have to record what our photos are taken of, the direction of view, and the location the photos were taken from. For example, this is a photo here, and the photo log. So this is image 2500, and the description explains what's in the photo. White graffiti above the sheep glyph, and the letters and date. And then the direction of view that you're taking the picture from, and then the location you were standing when you took the picture. So if law enforcement went back out, they could put in that coordinate in their GPS, stand at the location, look northwest, and see the image that you described. It's also good to get overview pictures of where damage occurred, because sometimes it's difficult to see what you're taking a picture of. So we need an overview picture of the impact, like here, the overview of old scratch graffiti, and then a close-up picture of that graffiti. That way we know when we're standing at that point what we're looking for and the severity of the impact. So if you take out your baseline for site number 26LN0000, you can see the site record that contains all of the information. Now we're going to pretend that you went out and took these photographs and that you have to complete the forms. So you're going to see that you have a photographic log. Complete the top portion of the photographic log with your name as the photographer and today's date. Your first image is on the screen on the left. It's image 7753, and it's the overview of the can scatter at our site. And the photo is taken facing south at that coordinate. And then 3 more photos were taken of artifacts that were close to the can scatter. Photo 7754 is of a horseshoe. 7755 is a green bottle top. And 7756 is a clear base of a bottle. There's no direction of view for these photographs because the photos are taken straight down. However, in the description, it explains where in relationship to the can scatter the object was found. For example, with the horseshoe, it was west of the can scatter, and the green bottle top was east of the can scatter. Now, we have to complete a monitoring report. So we've used our baseline recording to relocate the site, and we've taken some photographs of the site. So we're going to fill out the report. So there's no site name for this site, but there's a site number and a date that we visited, and then there's room for our names. You can check the driver box if somebody drove to the site, and this form is the same as the form used for volunteers, and they will complete their mileage, hours, and costs, but employees do not. Next, we're going to fill out the agency that the site's land is on, and that's the Nevada State Parks, which can be abbreviated NSP, and the name of the park. So for this site, it's Cathedral. So not only do we have to go out and document the condition of the site, but we have to assess the impact level, because each impact level has an action that we're supposed to take. And the changes that we are assessing are based on the most recent date the site was visited. The site action guidelines look like this. They range from the number 0 to 4, increasing in damage as we go. A level 0 impact is undisturbed, which is our first visit to our site was undisturbed. So our monitoring report impact level is 0. So all we needed to do was take a few photographs, complete our photo log, fill out a monitoring report, and submit it to our park supervisor and the stewardship program. If we were to have found trash, like in this photo, our impact level would have been a level 1, which is a minor disturbance. This also includes foot traffic, vehicle traffic, damage to trails, signs, and other resources that are not the actual archaeology at the site. So what you want to do is not just take a picture of a few of the site artifacts and features, but to also take an overview photo of the affected area and close-up photos of the impact. A level 2 impact is when the site has been disturbed. An example is if we would have found a collector's pile like in this photograph, where the artifacts are all put in one location. They've been moved, so they haven't been damaged, but it's been disturbed, as in it's changed. Some other types of level 2 impacts are minor graffiti that's not right on the resource itself. It may be on the rocks nearby, somebody who left a bit of trash, and issues that we can probably resolve, but the site won't get back to perfect. The additional actions you need to take when you have a level 2 impact is that you want to take, again, overview photos of the affected area and close-up photos of the impacts. Level 3 impacts are where the site is damaged. It cannot be put back to the way it was before. So some examples are graffiti over the top of the resources, looting where things have been removed, gunshot damage, digging to remove artifacts, the destruction of all or parts of the resource, and structural collapse. So that being said, this is a rock art panel that somebody attempted to remove, and in doing so, they shattered it into many pieces. That can never be put back together and be the same. That is a human-caused impact, but if that had popped off, it would still be a level 3 if it was due to weather. So level 3 impact can be natural or human-caused. A level 3 impact that is natural, we don't have to treat it like a crime scene, but we're going to document it. And one that's created by humans, we have to treat the area as a crime scene. You're going to take thorough pictures and notes without entering the area. You're going to note any footprints you left and make sure not to collect anything from the area, including trash. You're going to contact a law enforcement ranger and the park supervisor as soon as possible, and also complete that report as soon as possible. A level 4 impact is when the looters or vandals are currently at the site looting, vandalizing, or participating in illegal activities at the site. This is where we want to make sure we do not enter or explore the area and do not approach or confront suspects. You want to leave the area the same way you came in and safely gather information if possible. Your life is our number one concern, and your safety. So only take information down, write it down, or take photos of it if you are safe. As soon as you're in a safe location, contact a law enforcement ranger and the park supervisor and provide them all of your observations and complete your report as soon as possible. So back to our monitoring report, we had our baseline, and then we went back out and there were no changes. Everything looked the same, so we're going to put an impact level of 0. And then we're also going to put in notes. We don't just leave an impact level. Let's explain what happened. So this was the first time we had been to the site. We found the objects described in the baseline report. There was no evidence of digging, trails, or anything else that could have disturbed the site. So we're going to go through a couple different scenarios to test our ability to place the right impact level number with the change at the site. All right, so this is a before and after, and what level of impact do you think this would be? That is a Civilian Conservation Corps dam that somebody put their fire near, and it smoke blackened it. This is actually a level 3 impact. There was damage to the resource itself. but we were lucky and they were able to remove all of that soot from the rock surface. All right, this is graffiti on rocks on the way to your site. So it's not at the site, but it's along the road that you take to get to your site. This is an impact level 1, but we do still need to contact law enforcement and do what we can to get this graffiti removed as soon as possible, but it's not an impact to the actual site, it's just nearby. So we're marking it a level 1 because it could have potential future impacts. Okay, so in this photograph, there is a shovel, a screen, and 2 buckets, and recently disturbed ground from people digging. This is an impact level 3 because the site has been damaged with the digging. It would only be an impact level 4 if the people you saw them currently doing it. This is easily going to turn into a level 4 because people will come back to get their equipment or come back to keep doing activities. So you would still want to exit this location as soon as possible, contact law enforcement, and ensure that you remain safe at all times. Okay, you get to your site and somebody has taken a rock and scratched this over the top of the petroglyphs. This is an impact level 3 because they have damaged the petroglyphs themselves by putting the scratching over the top. Okay, so what happens after you send in any report? The Nevada Site Stewardship Program records all these reports and stores all the photographs. And State Parks is responsible for responding to the impacts that have been reported. Meaning if they're going to go clean them up, document them with law enforcement. In an impact level 3 and 4 report, the Site Stewardship Program and the State Park Supervisor, they review the impact and information. That information goes to the regional manager and the State Historic Preservation Office so they can determine what mitigation they're going to engage in. So in this training, I hope you've learned how to prepare forms for monitoring, or actually to prepare for monitoring, how to report that you've conducted a site visit, and that you're comfortable in assessing impact levels, and you know what actions to take based on those impact levels. And it's really important to remember that a site visit doesn't count unless it is documented.